tall, gangly thing?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 15 of High Roll Radio. My name is Nick Gangly DePasquale. I'm your host. Joined tonight, I have my wonderful, lovely, charming, constant co-host, Spicy Appies. Appies, how you doing?
And doing well. That's actually a spicy Nick Spicy Appies DePasquale. Thank you very much. But doing well, hanging in there, playing some TFT, doing the do.
And I feel like for the first time in a while, it's not just us. The last couple have actually. Well, I guess it's I guess it has been a little bit less that and more that like just every time it's been so long since we've done consistent episodes. We kind of had like a long break between set 8, set 9. But anyway, we've got a guest tonight. It's not just us. It's a good friend of the both of us. I'm Jack, coming off his top 8 finish at the Freljord Cup, hanging out with us tonight. Jack, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
As Kevin would say.
All right. So for anyone who doesn't know, this is High Roll Radio. This is a live TFT call-in show. We say our little taglines where you, the viewer, are just as much a part of the show as we are. So we're going to be hanging out, the three of us, for the next about hour and a half or so. Hour and a half. That's normally how this.
It's about
like hour and a half. We're going to be hanging out, just shooting the breeze. But it doesn't have to just be the three of us. If you want to join us, all you have to do is in the chat, use !Discord. You will find my Discord there. On the left-hand side, go to the Submit Takes channel, type your hot take, your opinion, your discussion point, whatever it is there. And if we like what you have to say, we will bring you on to the show to talk through your take with us live. One thing to keep in mind is that we kind of moved a little bit away from hot takes, more towards discussion. I feel like a lot of people in TFT more so just want to talk and less have like really controversial takes about the game. So feel free to just hop in if you want to talk about Freljord Cup, Shurima Cup, some of the other things that we're going to be talking about on the day. Feel free to just drop a take in, and if we find it relevant, we'll bring you on. So now that all that has been said, all the housekeeping stuff, let's kind of take a step back before we go into the actual TFT side of things and just talk a little bit about what we've been up to. It's been a little bit since Freljord Cup. Obviously, you both did amazing at the event. 9th place for Appies, 8th place for Jack. But
you too.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I also did get to make, I guess not my debut, my second. What is there like? I don't know if there's
debut.
My second debut as a host for the broadcast. But anyway, we'll talk about Freljord Cup in a minute. Honestly, I just want to know what you guys have been up to outside of just like TFT or outside of the Freljord Cup since then.
Should I start, or do you want to start, Appies?
Oh, go for it.
Oh, I mean, I've just been playing more TFT, honestly. Maybe some games here or there. I haven't been taking ladder as seriously, just because I got the bye from the top 8. So I've been testing some very interesting comps, such as Targon Rek'Sai by Wage and Iverson. Is not very good. But
okay, I was going to say.
That's something Nick would cook up, actually.
Yeah, it does sound like one of my texts.
It wasn't very good, but I guess like for other people it was working, so I'm not sure.
What does that board even look like? Is it just like... Is it like...
It's literally... You just play 2 Brawler and then Vertical Targon and
like Freljord and Rek'Sai or something?
Yeah. And it's really a sub-carry.
Interesting. Yeah, that sounds awful.
I mean, okay. The thing is, if you can hit the Rek'Sai, like the Rek'Sai 3, like it's actually pretty good. Like you can top 3, top 2. But like before that, it feels not that great because
Rek'Sai 2 is probably like bad, right?
You're playing like pseudo Urgot by playing Rek'Sai.
Right.
But yeah.
But I feel like when I've played Rek'Sai, often in the spots where Rek'Sai feels really strong, I'm not really thinking to myself, oh, she needs more healing, because usually in the spot that I'm playing Rek'Sai, I feel like she already has the additional healing from like healing orbs or something like that. Like obviously, and then on top of like Bloodthirst or whatever you're playing. Like it doesn't actually sound that big of a spike to me. Just have like the additional healing shielding of Targon.
I think it's more so with like how the synergies work out, and then in addition you get to play like a decent like sub carry by playing Aphelios, and you have Ashe, right, for Freljord and like whatever. So it's just like it kind of works out. Like
it's one of those like the water gun thing with like Graves and like all those. It's like a super like wide board in set 7 that like it didn't look great on paper, but like everything just kind of worked out nicely. Like you got enough value from everything where, you had like enough carries between like Zeri and Graves and I don't even remember the units on that board, but it was a board that didn't sound good on paper, but just ended up
Seraphine, right? So
yeah, it was like Seraphine, Graves, Zeri. Yeah. The front line was like, what even was the front line?
It was like
it was 3 costs.
Zach, right? Was it Zach?
Yeah.
I hated set 7, man.
I
don't know.
Guardian or something with Zach and someone.
Get this set off my podcast. No more set 7 talk.
I remember hating that set so much.
Yeah, it was like the AD Lagoon unit.
Neela, right? Was that?
Oh, no. Neela was the 4 cost. The 4 cost assassin.
Oh, you're right.
There was the
Neela
3 cost Cannoneer. She was a Cannoneer. I think Cannoneer Lagoon were her things. Anyways.
Yeah, anyway. So Jack's been
worse than it did.
Jack's been limit testing and stuff on ladder. Appies, you been up to anything outside of TFT? Or mainly just the game?
I guess I haven't been doing too much outside of TFT. I've been touching a lot of grass in general this set, so just keeping that up for the most part. Hanging with family. I played some tennis for the first time in like forever this past weekend. It was super fun. I had I used to play a lot in college, and I hurt my wrist and like couldn't play for like a year, and it was rough. So I got a little play again. It was really fun. So I've been doing that. As far as this ladder goes,
I've got a book recommendation for you, dude.
I've actually I have actually read a lot of Inner Game of Tennis. Is it Inner Game of Tennis?
Inner Game of Tennis.
Inner Game, yes. On Dan's recommendation, actually, Frodan. He got me to read it. This is like the biggest Melee player recommendation of all time. But did Frodan sometime in set 7 or set 8? I think he got me to read the first couple of chapters of it, and it helped a lot. It's surprising. It sounds very like, oh man, I love ping pong the animation and playing Melee in my basement till 3 a.m. But it was actually very helpful. So it was good stuff. As far as TFT's gone, similarly to Jack, I'm not taking ladder very seriously, but unlike Jack, I didn't get a buy to week 2 for free. So I started taking ladder seriously today. So hopefully I'm going to climb a bit and not have to play weekend 1 again, because that was stressful. But yeah, I'm just hanging in there. How you doing?
I've been good. I honestly, this has been one of the sets where I've played more TFT than normal. Not like a crazy amount, but definitely more than the last few sets, just because it kind of falls like on the summer, and I've been doing more TikTok stuff recently. So it kind of has allowed me to kind of responsibly play more TFT than usual. And I love this set. It's really fun. But I've been doing some stuff outside of TFT as well. I started reading this year, which sounds really, I guess, like I say that as if it's like some exotic like thing to pursue, but I've just never really been much of a reader. I'll like read occasionally, but this year I've been reading. Have you ever, Brandon Sanderson?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you reading Stormlight Archives?
I'm reading Steelheart. No.
Yes, Reckoners. Oh,
yeah.
That's like one of my favorite series of all time.
I just started it. It's really good so far. I'm really enjoying it. But yeah, so I've been reading a lot of like sci-fi stuff, and now I'm moving a little bit more into like the fantasy realm. This is like interesting. I guess I've heard of Brandon Sanderson as like a fantasy author, but I guess I wasn't expecting it to. It literally is like a superhero kind of setting.
It's like post-apocalyptic, like sci-fi type of dude. How did I not know you were reading that? We need to talk about this. I just
started. Yeah, we haven't talked a lot at all recently.
No, because we need to talk about this stuff in general, because I'm the biggest Brandon Sanderson. Like,
really?
Archives, Mistborn, like everything is just. I'm a big fan of all of it. I don't read, but I listen to books.
Okay, yeah.
So I like, most of my day, when I'm not playing TFT, I'm literally just listening. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but let's listen to books. So we need to talk about this. That's exciting. That's super exciting.
Yeah.
Fangirl with you. You're going through it.
I'll keep you updated as I'm doing that. But so circling back to TFT stuff, I also, when we were talking about this before the show, I also started playing the Open Fort Zeri, the pumping up Zeri stuff. And here's the thing. First off, I love it because the highest I've ever climbed in TFT has come in the form of opening to 3-5 and then just playing Nocturne in set 5. And I get those vibes, that feeling of just like not putting, I don't need to put any units on my board until halfway through and then figuring it out from there. There's something about that is so fun for me. And I will say also it's important to note the first like 3 games I played, I went like 8-7 or something. And then right after that, I had this moment where I contested pumping up Zeri. I was contested by someone in the MD clan. So like to me, I feel like this is important context for anyone who doesn't know. Like the MD players are like, is it right to say they're like, I don't know if it's like degenerate. I don't know if that's fair to say, but like you don't mess with the players who are in the MD clan when it comes to like playing degenerate play styles. And sure. I contested an MD player. I hit, they didn't, and they FF'd on 3-5.
Let's go.
But they were actually so chill. They were like, you know what? I'm going to give you a free placement on this one. They just instantly FF'd. And then that was my first top 4 on Zeri. So it's been pretty good.
It's actually super funny that you mentioned the Nocturne thing, because I'm pretty sure that was like the first time I ever met you on ladder. In like step 5, like I remember I had like the perfect Nocturne spot, and I just look over at 3-5, and this guy just has Nocturne 2 with like RFC or something, and I'm just sitting there like, okay, well, I guess I just FF now. Like I don't know. So yeah, it's just funny that you're coming back to like a comp where you just open for it until then.
Right, dude. There was.
Did you open it? Sorry, did you open in Slayers or Berserkers? Was that a?
No. I didn't.
No,
I didn't.
Okay.
That was different. That was like you send it to 0 on 3-1. That was it was very different. Yeah. It's actually funny you mentioned set 5 stuff, because there's this one moment that will always stick out to me. Like I said, that was really the only time in my TFT career that I've like climbed to like the higher ish LP. I was like, I want to say it was somewhere between like 500 and 700 LP, somewhere around there. And I was in a game with Piba, if you guys know Piba. And it ended up heads up, him and me, top 2, and he won. And then I was like, oh, I know this guy streams. I don't really watch him much. Let me just go in and like say GG in his chat. I like go in, I say like, hey man, good game. You know, congrats on the win, blah, blah, blah. And then he like thanks me. And then about like 10 seconds later, he's like, okay, Gangly, I have to tell you, I've been flaming you for like the last 20 minutes on my stream because he hated, obviously, just, open Fort Nocturne players. Same thing. First time I met Prestovant, I said me Nocturne, instantly got muted, and never spoke to him again.
Yeah, I mean, that'll do it.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, people have a mixed bag of reactions to open Fort anything, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is the only set where like it became acceptable, because like I feel like in past sets where you like called like me Trist or me Nocturne or whatever, like from 2-1 or like you get insta muted. But like now, like it's like strategic to have everyone unmuted to figure out what comp they're gonna like hard force, so then you can just like avoid it completely.
All right, I have a hot take with the whole hard force meta as well, which we can get there, I think, because we'll talk about the tournament. But just preface that. I don't think. Oh, I guess I'll just let it rip. I think like the people who just said like me something on 2-1 and muted just didn't play the game right last patch. Like I think like that people had this idea. It was like a pretty popular idea that like you basically supposed to play the patch very, very narrow. Like you find what you're playing on 2-1, you hard commit, hope no one else commits, and then you chill. Like I feel like that was just not the way to do it personally. But
I mean, I would just do it and I'll pivot if I had like bad items or like different items. So
sure. Some people
you just
do
it to make people pivot off, and then they just like go to a different comp completely. Like I said, me Sorks or me multicaster, pivot to Luxazir immediately.
I also feel like people, going off of what Jack is saying, I feel like people didn't even mean it half the time. Like, how many times did you see someone like call something, mute, and then like at the end of stage 2, they unmute, they call something else, and they mute again? Like,
it's gonna be more of like a weekend one thing too. But there were definitely a lot of people in my games that just committed. Like they said me something on 2-1, they just went fast 8 if they missed. It was a little rough to see. Well,
with that, this is a good, nice little segue into Freljord Cup, which I think is probably the first thing we really want to talk about on the day. So, Freljord Cup happened. What was that? Like two 2 weeks ago now? Was it the 15th?
Last weekend,
2 weeks.
Or it was like a week and a bit, right? Because it was not last weekend, but the weekend before.
Yeah. It was July 15th and 16th, right? So Freljord Cup happened July 15th and 16th. I have the scores in front of me. I'll kind of read out just the top 8, or I'll read out the top 9. So Kurum X won the event. Robin Songs coming up in second. Dish Soap, DQA, Vanilla XD, Milk, Phoenix I'm Jack in 8th, and then Spicy Appies in 9th. So honestly, we can talk about like weekend 1 stuff and Appies. I feel like I can just let you kind of lead about the things you want to talk about here. But the thing that stood out to me, I feel like is worth mentioning right off the bat, is the top 4 of this event being Kurum, Robin, Dish Soap, and DQA. So many times when we have these open bracket events, with so many top players, it's very rare for us to see the top 4 actually being 4 players who are considered by the masses to be some of the best.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
A lot of consistency shown, I think. And just like how a lot of showing like how skilled especially this set is. I compared it to particularly the last 2 sets.
Yeah, I feel like, so even in this top 8, Vanilla XD, Phoenix and I think to some people, Jack, you'd actually probably fall into like closer to that second category than the first to a lot of people because you're not really as known. Obviously, to us in Tri-State, we knew. We're all knowers. We're believers.
Any TC veteran knew Jack.
That's right. Exactly. If you can place top 16 at a TC event, then you know now that you can top 8 a major. That's how this works. But no, I think it's pretty cool. It was like a nice balance. And I think Phoenix is another one of those players where, like, if I remember correctly, they were seeded last at the Astral Cup. I hope I'm not confusing them with someone else. I think they were actually seeded last in the Astral Cup at the start of set 7 and then made final lobby in Astral Cup. So kind of a similar story where once again they're making it into the final lobby when a lot of people just don't really have their eyes on them. So maybe this is a sign of things to come. Maybe Phoenix is going to be one of those players that really starts to show up a little bit more in these final days. I don't know if either of you know this player at all.
I know Phoenix. I actually play Valorant with him sometimes.
Oh, really?
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I mean, I think Phoenix also has like, I guess like me and Phoenix are both like not well known, like relative to the other players like in the top. But like, he's been around for a while and like he's been like a consistent like top challenger player like throughout like every set that like I've played. So yeah, I think he'll probably do well going forward.
Yeah, just, I recognize I feel like he's one of those players that I get in a lobby like, oh, he's good. Like I recognize his name. I've been doing lobbies with him in tournaments and ladder and everything, and he's like one of those people that he's like a household name for like the top players. I think. Similar thing with Jack, right? Where it's like everyone who sees Jack in a lobby knows who Jack is on ladder, and then like the viewer on a tournament might not know. And that's obviously kind of expected compared to some of the like big streamers or whatnot. But there's definitely this. There are players that like a lot of the top players understand are just really good and like can pop off at events like they did at Freljord Cup.
Do you know? Is it Phoenix or is it Phoenix? How do you actually say it? The 2 A's is weird to me.
He goes by Phoenix, but he said it can be whatever.
Okay.
Like people say Phoenix, so it doesn't. I don't think he really cares.
Because I've never talked to him.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's just Phoenix, but I don't know why the A's are there.
All right, well,
like Phoenix. I
like that. That's canon now. I love that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the experiences you two had at the event. Appies, let's start with you because you played in the first weekend. So I don't want to sit too long just on Freljord Cup, but obviously I think it's worth talking about it for at least a couple of minutes. But why don't you talk first about the open bracket of the event and then how it kind of played out into the final weekend?
Yeah. Do we do a high radio after the first weekend? I feel like we might have. I don't remember though.
Did we? I think you're right. I can't remember.
I'll just go through it pretty quickly, anyways, because I don't remember what I said last time. But basically, it was like the meta was because there was a B patch or a C patch between the first weekend and the second weekend that changed the meta like completely. And so it was like everyone was just picking Ezreal as a legend and like playing. It was it was the Kaisa Ionia meta in the like I was moving more towards like Kaisa 6 Challenger rather than Kaisa 6 Ionia. And like Azir Lux, there's like the two really popular comps. And like everyone would just kind of play for those every game, and it was like a level 7 lottery thing. And so the first thing I played more wide than that. And I played like 10 out of 12 games. I carried Gwen, which was fun. We had a lot of Gwen. And so I just kind of, it felt good. Like there were definitely there was like a slightly sus part. Like day 2, I had, day 2, I think I was like on the cusp and I needed to like do pretty well the last 2 games to get through. Then I went like 1-2. So I like high rolled my last 2 games pretty hard and it was fine. So it was a good weekend. It was, like, I think meta ended up being like kind of surprising a lot of people, which I think might have been true for the second weekend too, but it was like kind of surprising that there was a lot more playable stuff than people thought. And like the more flexible players were really rewarded. I think like Bryce getting through as well, right? He was playing way more flex than most of the field. And so he popped off. So it's a good weekend.
Yeah. And Jack, so I remember at TC3, we spoke about it and you had said like, oh, I played in the open bracket in one event. And I think you said you kind of trolled, like it wasn't a super great performance. But we haven't really seen you in the second weekend all that much recently, right? I'm trying to think of like when the last one would have been, but
never. Like I never sign up is a thing.
Interesting.
I think I always forget, or like I never really took competitive. Like I know it's a meme, but I actually never took competitive seriously. Like because like basically if you're a challenger, you can always like be in the tourney, right? Like it's only top like 100 something, right? So you're basically guaranteed. But I would just be like, oh, it's a waste of time. And so I would just never play for it. Or I would just like play myself out like all the way like out of the cutoff usually. So yeah, basically never. But now I'm like,
you gotta keep it up now.
Competitive because it's kind of fun. Like it's definitely fun. Like especially getting to the top 8 lobby, like the experience, like I can't even describe. Like I was like really nervous at first, but then like I thought it was like super fun too because like compared to ladder, I'm actually thinking every turn and like actually positioning and like considering like my game plan. And then like on ladder, I'm just AFK, like watching a YouTube video on the side.
So obviously, like talking about the final lobby, you were actually in a position to make it to the mid-set finale directly, right? If you place top 4, you go directly into mid-set. I know the last game was not exactly how you wanted to turn out. I believe you did go 8th on that one. I'm curious to know, like, did you actually feel at any point in this tournament, did you feel a certain level of pressure that you felt like you maybe weren't prepared for because you haven't really been in these positions before this?
I think top 16 is pretty.
I think at first I was really nervous. Like I'm really good friends with Spencer. So I would like message him like after each game, just saying how nervous I was. So like, and he just like kind of calmed me down and stuff. But then like as the tournament went on, and then when I went into day 4, like I kind of got used to it. The thing is, like in the last tourney that I was in, I think it was like Corrupted Cup or something. My nerves got the best of me, which is why I like bottomed out in the open bracket. Like I think like without that experience, I definitely wouldn't have performed as well overall.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. Makes sense. Well, the good news is because you're top 8, you have an automatic spot right into the second weekend of Shurima Cup. Appies, I know. Wait, did we? I always get lost on what we've talked about on the show and what we talked about before. I don't think we talked about this, but you are in the process right now of grinding for snapshots, right?
Yeah. I've been running it. I've been just like having fun. So the problem with me after tournaments is Jack was saying how fun it is to like think every turn and like be engaged, and I feel the same way. Tournaments are so enjoyable, and then I get back on ladder and I'm like, man, what am I doing? Like I'm just like like reading chat the whole game instead of looking at the thing, or like watching YouTube, or like, you know, and it's, or like I see like a shiny, and I'm like a dog. I see like a little shiny thing and I go chasing after it. And so it's really hard for me to climb right after a tournament. And then so this week I've started to kind of put it back together. I'm up to like 200 LP today, so I'm hoping that I'll be fine for weekend 2. If not, I'll probably like do like the "here we go again" meme on Twitter with weekend 1 or some you know stuff. But hopefully you don't play weekend 1 again. But no, we're getting there.
You know, Appies, you actually ended the tournament. I have it right here in front of me now. 5th overall in average place, or at least adjusted average placement, meaning like if you only look at the final weekend. If you include like the first weekend, I think you're still 5th either way. But the interesting thing is you are one of the few players from the open bracket that had a better average placement in the second weekend than you did in the first weekend. So your AVP was like 3.63 in the first weekend and then 3.58 in the second. So pretty much the same either way, but just an interesting little tidbit. You actually did kind of turn on the Jets in that second weekend, and obviously you didn't make top 8, but you had quite the run. Even got like the bonus points from the first day. I think you both got bonus points actually, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you both got 3, right? I think
I got 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a really high roll day 3. I had like a really high roll day 3.
I also had a high roll day 3.
Yeah, I was.
For at least the first game. The first game, I needed it though.
Just for nerves, you mean?
It's like.
Yeah. And because the game played itself, I didn't have to like do anything. I got Robotic Arm Warwick 2-1, and then I got Ravenous Hunter, and I had a Rage Blade Glove.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I just sat there the whole game. I fast 9, and then like I just played a legendary board. So
that is pretty good.
The mental diff in high rolling a first game of the day is actually massive, because it just takes the like if you start the day off with the first, the pressure is just because normally throughout a day, like there's 2 spots that suck to be in. One is if you go 8th the first game, which I think is actually maybe slightly easier to play at it, because like I'm like, okay, well, I need to just put it together. I'm gonna do what I need to do, right? Depending on the person, I guess. But another spot that sucks is when you're like 4-4-4-4-4 the entire day, and it comes down to the last game, you need like top 4 again. That last game is the most painful experience of all time.
That happened to you at Defender Cup, right? Is that what it was? Or it was that tournament in set 8 where you were basically the entire day were like 3rd, 5th, 4th, 5th, 4th, and then it came down to the final game. I think you needed a 4th, and then you got like a 6th or something like that.
That was the hardest tournament I've ever played. I remember that one. That was the one that was a tough one.
Well, I remember even as like a spectator, because that was one of those tournaments. Obviously, I wasn't involved in it, so I'm just hanging out and like checking out the scores every now and then. Every single time I would check the scoreboard, you would be at like 28th place. 32nd place, 29th place, right? And you're like not actually building an edge, you're just hanging on for dear life. And then the final game going 6th and just barely missing out. That it's a bad feeling. It definitely I imagine
first day, it's like it feels so good. Especially if you get bonus points. I think this is my first time getting bonus points. Like at least some like I got bonus points weekend 1, I think 2, like from day 1 to day 2, but weekend like getting bonus points from day 3 to day 4 feels so good, because you just start with the second day. I went 7th the first game. It was like I got 2 silver hold games day 4. My first one I just went 7th, couldn't really do much, and I was like, man, I just went 4th. That's fine. Hell yeah, I got 3 bonus points. Everyone, let's go.
Yeah, actually, is really that's like a great way of looking at it too. I heard someone, who was it? So was it on Don't Talk If You Don't Know? Someone had like the opposite feeling of bonus points, where they're like, you bought 4 once and your bonus points are gone. But yeah, I think the way to really look at it. Oh, was it? Wait, you said it was a Nico?
It was a Nico for sure. He was chiming in on like how he thought of his like bonus points when he performed in tourneys previously, and he said that. Like,
I
think it's pretty fitting that hey, I feel like a Nico, like I'm
the half glass empty.
Glass half empty guy. 2 sides of the same coin, which is why we get along so well.
That's right.
I mean,
right.
I love the bonus points. So
it feels good, right?
Yeah, I'm down for the bonus points. I'm down for the tiebreaker being based off like the amount of like first placements. Like, yeah.
Mm. All right, well, I think that'll do it for Freljord Cup. We've got other things to talk about. We can talk now. We have Shurima Cup up. That's the next event in the TFT circuit under Riot. That's coming up. Starts August 5th and 6th for the open bracket portion of the event, and then 12th and 13th for the final weekend. So I think it's worth kind of establishing where we are in the set right now and talking a little bit about the meta first before we move on, because it has been a topsy-turvy road I would say in terms of patches tumultuous, great word, to get to where we are today. I saw, who was it? Maybe it was Emily Wang tweet yesterday saying that she felt this is the best patch of the set, or the best the meta has felt in set 9. So as Shurima Cup is coming up, I'm curious to know your 2 thoughts on the meta right now.
I can start if you want, Jack, or you're taking a sip. I agree. I think the meta feels really good. I didn't play much this past weekend. I was just touching grass, but what I played so far, like today and yesterday, it feels really good. I was kind of feeling it yesterday, but now it's like a lot of stuff feels viable. There's like a ton of lines to play. There's like a lot of like, so the last couple of patches, there's been the whole name of the game has kind of been like, how contested am I, right? Like who's playing what I'm playing, who's going to try to pivot into what I'm playing. And it hasn't even necessarily been like, I feel like the game hasn't been very narrow even. It's just been that like some lines felt so good that you couldn't really help but play them. Like there were definitely other outs, but now it feels like there's so much playable. But there's also this weird problem playing around like Freljord stuff, where like everyone just wants all the Freljord units and to play like Aphelios stuff randomly. So I feel like that line itself, like that line is like really, really contested. Source can be pretty contested too. Because I think like Ari in any comp, but in vertical Sork or in like, 2 to 4 Sork with like some Ionia stuff for Baronin is like the most broken unit in the game. So there's like some weird points of contestation. How would you say that? Of contention. That's probably what.
That's probably it. That's probably
it. But in general, there's a lot to play. There's definitely a lot of lines to take if you're willing to play like not necessarily the best thing of all time. And if you hit your Ari, oh boy, you're gonna whip the whole board instantly. It's 2 for 8.
How do you feel about the meta, Jack?
I think I generally feel the same as Appies, although I think Ari is a little bit too overtuned. Like I think one Ari, like you can go from like placing 8th to like a top 2 with just one Ari at like level 7. Like you're like 20 HP, you find an Ari and you have like AP items. So I definitely think that would be like the biggest change that like I would want to see. But like otherwise, like I think most things are playable. I did try Double Trouble Talia though after like tourney and after the patch, and like it felt pretty bad. So I feel like a lot of 2 costs, especially with Zed. Like I know Appy's like earlier he was when we were talking off the podcast said he top 4 with Zed. Like Zed doesn't feel that playable to me either. So I feel like a lot of the 2 costs like rerolls are like kind of god. But yeah, otherwise like I think most things are playable more or less, and I think people are still discovering different techs.
Yeah, the 2 class stuff is just very spot specific. Like it's super hard to find the spot for them, basically, right? Which is like almost unplayable.
Well, especially because the 2 costs are the ones that have the hero augments, right? Like, it's only 2 costs that have hero augments. I'm pretty sure, right? It's Warwick, Galio, Cassidon, and Set, right? So I feel like that actually.
Queen too.
I've literally never seen that.
I took it once after tourney, and I played for a good 4th.
Oh, that's pretty good. I have literally
I just bled out every round after I hit it.
I have not seen it being. I've not seen it taken in any of my games this set. Not once have I seen it.
No, don't take it. Don't take it.
Okay.
Winds of War though.
It just gave me a sway too, so I took it, but it was awful.
Okay, I have a question for you too, and I feel like this is. I feel like I should know the answer to this because of how much TFT I've played, but it still surprised me. I talked about it in my Discord today. So I've been playing a lot of the pumping up Zeri, right? And so today I was like, hey, I want to actually look into the stats to see what items and combinations are actually like best delta, blah blah blah. And personally, I was surprised that in pretty much every situation I looked up, with pretty much every variation I looked up, the best delta item on Zeri was always Last Whisper in pretty much every situation. And the reason that surprised me was, one, obviously Freljord with like 8 seconds in, you get the shred anyway. But also I even tried it with like Last Whisper on other units in the comp, and it still came up as a better average placement when Last Whisper was on Zeri. The only reason you go what?
I have some reasons for you. Sorry.
Well, no, I only bring this up because Appies, you were talking about all the Freljord units being so highly contested, and in my mind, I saw this and I thought, is 2 Freljord just fake? Like, am I actually just playing an Ashe for Deadeye for no reason, because I could just be making Last Whisper and then playing, like, I don't know, maybe like Targon +1 plus Aphelios is actually better with Zeri. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, so I think there's a few reasons why that's the case. We were talking about this off the podcast as well, but one of the, or maybe this was on it, I don't remember. One of the main reasons why Zeri is even playable is because Urgot's an insane unit. Urgot's like the star of both Aphelios boards and Zeri boards. And Last Whisper on Zeri just make sure that anything Urgot is hitting is getting armor shredded. The second thing is that the first 8 seconds of the fight are actually really, really impactful, especially, so Zeri is a lot faster of a fight than something like Aphelios, in my opinion. Because Aphelios, you always want Rage Blade, you always want scaling, you always want ramp. And like it's a little bit more shield oriented and stuff, but Zeri is like, even with like 4-gunner, let's say you played 4-gunner, which I don't know if you always even play 4-gunner with it. It's just a more explosive fight, right? You have like a lot of carries, Zeri, Urgot, you know, I guess 2 carries, but like a lot of things doing damage. And so you like not getting armor pen the first 4 seconds of the fight, especially when it's like a pretty tanky meta, or 8 seconds of the fight when it's a very tanky meta, right? There's like a lot of tanky Sedges, a lot of tanky Shens. Like 6 Invoker boards are actually very strong right now. If you itemize Shen, he's like unkillable. A lot of RE boards with like, you know, Shen 2 and whatnot. And so if you play Last Whisper if you don't play Last Whisper, like you just don't do damage the first 8 seconds of the fight, which is like, I think a lot of the power in Freljord is actually, and this is going to sound a little weird, I think on even you're on the Aphelios board, because Aphelios, again, where he's a little more scale oriented, doesn't care as much about the Last Whisper shred at the beginning of the fight, which is why I think it's less necessary there, because, you know, you're something Rage Blade, reaching critical mass, you're getting a lot of, especially with pumping up, right, you get a lot of instant value and you want to end fights quickly, but Aphelios is very scale heavy and has the like support squad and like Shen, Tarek, whatever to make that happen. But with so the thing with Freljord is that a lot of, and then again, this is true for Aphelios too, but the true damage, like 3 Freljord and then 4 Freljord, on top of like Mana Reave being absolutely insane and then like the stun being really, really insane, the true damage is not meaningless. It goes from 5% to 10% to 15%, and if you're doing 10% true damage, especially when like you have things hitting the whole board, right? Like you're always playing, I don't know what the classic Zeri popping up board is, but I think the best iteration right now is like you play Urgot like 2 or 3 Freljord with Ashe 2-gunner, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's 4 Zon, 2-gunner.
Yeah. And so if you think about how much stuff is actually chipping backline on that and on the Deadeye board, right? The 4 Deadeye board, you have Ukshin, Deadeye procs chipping backline. On the Zeri board, you have Zeri hitting backline, Deadeye proxing backline, Urgot hitting backline on both boards, right? If he dashes back and like AP shot someone. And that 10% of Freljord burn is often the difference between, actually, 3 Freljord is often the difference between like actually killing a backliner and letting them stay alive. Between like with all the little bits of chip here and there, they're gonna just pop to something. Especially if you like the Mana Reave stuff off too. But even 2 Freljord, right? That 5% is very meaningful to actually like finish off like all the little backliners that are getting chipped down. So that's my take. I think it's just like the unit quality is really high, and even if you don't need the armor pen, also like the Last Whisper is not hitting everything, right? You're gonna like Last Whisper can still, you like getting armor pen on like a frontliner on the other side of the board is still good too from 8 seconds in the fight. But I think that just the fact that it's such a I'm going to kill your whole board instantly kind of thing. Ashe as well is hitting the whole board, right? And like a pretty good amount of AD on her. Her AD ratio on the arrows got buffed again, and she does a decent amount of damage if she hits backline with her arrows, and she always hits backline with her arrows. So there's so much chip going here and there that like Freljord just helps that win condition along really, really well because like stuff just pops for free. So that's my take. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Jack.
I mean, I think, I think the biggest thing is like all the units, like the unit quality is really high with Freljord right now. I think Sedge also got a buff, right? I remember Sedge, like literally, like even if you triple item there, like she would get 1-shot previous patches. So she's like really good. And then like Lysandra, the 10% like damage is nothing to like it's 10%, but like 10% is actually a lot. And then like scaled with everything else. And then in addition, like 3 Freljord, like the difference between 2 and 3 is actually massive. Like the Mana Reave is actually so oppressive because basically you make it so that the enemy team actually can't play the game at all. And then they get Deadeye procced, and on top of that, Freljord procced. And then if you're playing Zeri, like you have to execute, right? So like literally, like you will see your like, I don't know, you're like playing Lux randomly, and you're like, oh, my Lux is gonna cat. Oh wait, never mind, she's dead. She's just dead. Like, and you're just sitting there like, okay, well, I guess I just got 50 O's for no reason. But like, yeah. Like it's just everything combined is so oppressive, and then like even Ashe, like I put like random items on Ashe, and like I saw her do like 3K in a fight. Like
it's all the backline, right?
It's literally just like every small thing that got buffed, like kind of like contributed to like it being so oppressive, and then this is why like you literally see 3 Freljord on every single board, like no matter whatever people are playing, unless they're playing Sorks, just because it's so like oppressive. It's not even for like the shred, like at that point, which is why I think like Last Whisper is still like a good item. Like it like Freljord doesn't proc until like the first 8 seconds. So yeah, that's my take.
And Liz is also just an insane unit. On Poly, like she is such a good unit to play on every board because it's damage. She also just doesn't play damage.
I love
good itemizer too.
Actually, when you were talking about it before, you were saying like the 10%. Something I feel like this set does really well. Obviously, coming out of set 8, where we have the threats, you know, there were all these units that you could just kind of splash into your board and they just make sense. I think set 9, they actually did a really good job of making units with traits universal. Like I think Lissandra is a really good example. I think Jarvan is a really good example. There are like, I think a great thing to look at is the fact that when people are playing Rek'Sai reroll, they just like throw random Lissandra in because it's like I want to run down this front line. My Rek'Sai needs to get through the front line first, so I want to have the additional damage amp coming from the Lissandra. Like there's a lot of really cool interactions that set 9 brought that I think it's worth applauding the dev team. Because I think they've really found, and maybe not like the perfect version of it, but I think they've found this really cool marriage of what we saw in threats and what they did really well, and brought that into now traded units or whatever you want to call them. And so shout out to all the devs because I feel like we've actually seen a lot of those different interactions in this set, and I hope that that's something they can continue on. Okay, so we kind of talked meta. We've got Shurima Cup coming up. I feel like there's not too much else to say about Shurima Cup itself until we actually get closer and we know who's playing. So probably not worth it to dwell too long on that. Something that is worth bringing up though is that we can talk about an announcement we made in Tri-State TFT. Tri-State Tactics announced Tactician's Crown number 4 coming September 23rd, 2023 in North Bergen, New Jersey. So this is actually the perfect episode because Jack, one of the veterans of TC3, Appies, veteran of TC2 and TC3, right? Wait, you came to 2 as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were there.
Yeah, it was the first Five Below one. We had 2 at Five Below.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I like that it's not at not at localhost, which is next to the Five Below. We had two tournaments at Five Below. I wish. Sadly, we are no longer at the Five Below venue this time around, but we have a bigger venue at Helix Esports in North Jersey, where we can have up to 56 competitors, and the attendee list for this tournament is looking stacked. We're at 34 out of 56 right now, and we can use this time to kind of talk a little bit about our experiences at TC, kind of give some advertising to the event. But first, let me read off some of these names that are going to be at TC4. Obviously, SPICYAPPIES. Oh, actually, this player, is it Tosi or Toast? You know what I'm talking about? TOCE? Tosi. I know them. I definitely recognize their name. They're a challenger player?
Yeah, I've seen them on ladder a few games.
Yeah, and a lot. They also see them in my chat a lot, probably, because
that's probably where I see them. Yeah.
But yeah, I think they're often like GM challenger.
Okay, yeah. So Appies, Tosi, Lil Top, Replay, Juku, Philip,
Champion,
Joe Bookmark, Bosso Skills, Stellar Minhee, I'm Jack. Moving on to the next page. Pokygom
is gonna be kind of confirmed.
Ramkev soft confirmed. Kai, for all you TikTok fans. We've got lots of very, very high level talent. Honestly, I'm expecting the top 16 of this event to be all challenger. I think that by the time we fill out the event, it's going to be top 16 all challenger, which is pretty crazy, to be honest, when you think about the fact that like 2 years ago, this was just a New Jersey local. And now we have like people coming from Canada. We have people like all over the states coming to the event. I don't know. Wait, I don't know if we should take this time right now to talk about like TC3 and our experience there, or if we should first talk about the qualifier. What makes more sense?
Let's go with the qualifier first.
Okay.
Yes. Right.
So in the spirit of talking about TC4, all the talent coming from all over, we have a qualifier for TC4. We're calling it TCQ, Tactician's Crown Qualifier, coming up right after snapshots for the Shurima Cup. So this is going to be on July 31st and August 1st. It's a Monday and a Tuesday starting at 6 p.m. Eastern, where the winner of the qualifier is going to win a free trip to TC4 up to $1,000. So we will fly you out. We will get you a hotel. We will give you money for food. Whatever it is that you need, up to $1,000, we've got it covered to make it completely free for you as much as possible. Obviously, depending on where you live, that may or may not cover the entire trip, but we're doing the best we can to try and showcase some talent outside of Tri-State. And so we even have some players, this probably is like slightly collusion, but it's really cool. So we're just gonna let it happen anyway. We have a lot of players in Tri-State who have people in their study group outside of Tri-State. And so they're entering the qualifier to try and win a spot for their friend. So I know like some people, I don't know, like I know Malala is in here. I could see a world where like Bosso enters and, tries to get Malala out to TC4. Who knows? Like there's a world where I think that might happen. I think Appies and Jack, are you both competing in that as well? Or Appies, I know you are.
I am.
In the qualifier?
Yeah, do you think you're going to compete in the qualifier or just show up?
I mean, I live pretty close, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. And I don't know. We'll see. Maybe. I just learned about it now.
It's another tournament to play. So
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I might be down.
Honestly, the way I thought about it was like, because it's directly after snapshots, it's like you qualify for either first weekend or second weekend, and then you immediately get to play on a tournament on that patch, right? Or does the patch fall? I don't know when the patch actually falls. Oh, that's actually very sad. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Either way, you get to qualify for the event and then immediately play in another tournament. We'll have to see exactly. I don't know how inconvenient it is for people that it's on a weeknight. It's just there's no weekends in TFT. It's really hard to do like 2-day events in general without, overlapping with another major event. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. I'm really excited. Boys is the one that's actually going to be organizing it, and Aegis Esports is going to be producing it. It will be streamed on my channel, but Aegis is going to be doing all the production for it. So it's going to be a pretty well put together event. I don't have the actual player list. Boys, I know, is in chat. I don't know if he can leak like some of the high level talent that has registered, but from what I understand, I think it's going to be relatively stacked. So it's going to be a good one. I don't know. I haven't played in like an online event in a very long time. Appies, I know there was a period of time where you were actually playing in quite a few online, non-Riot sanctioned events, right?
The Aegis events in particular, I really wanted to play more of them this set, but I've just been really busy. I'm going to try to still, but no, people definitely have this, I don't know if it's like a stigma or just like, because it branches off a league where like every event really feels like a Riot event, right? Like every meaningful event. But like coming from Smash, right? Grassroots stuff is the lifeblood of the scene, and then so it's nice that like grassroots stuff, like the TC series or the TC qualifier, like any Aegis League stuff is getting some time in the spotlight. So
yeah,
and support from Riot as well.
And support from Riot, yeah. Riot contract is signed now. I can talk about it. But Riot is supporting the event. They're going to be giving us some. They're giving us $500 guaranteed prize pool. And then on top of that, they're going to be giving us some eggs and then some additional support for the costs that we're kind of that we ourselves are incurring just from throwing the event. So Riot is really, really helping us out a lot. So gonna be sweet. And I see Boys is in the chat right now. Is actually leaking 5 players who will be playing in the qualifier: Lil Top, Broccoli, Juku, Sub-Zero. I know this name? How do you say that? Sub-Zero. Arc? Is there a K? Is there an R there?
Oh, whatever.
Oh, is Jack muted? I think Jack's muted.
Wait, I thought it was Arc.
No, it might be just misspelled then. Yeah, Sub-Zero, Arc, and Clear. So, yeah.
Make sure Clear doesn't get it.
I like Clear. That's so mean. Justice for Clear.
Slander.
Yeah. The pumping man himself.
Honestly, Clear ruined ladder, so I'm down. Like I'll go into a game and I can't play the units that I want to. I'm just joking.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Either way, really excited to have the qualifier going on. I'm not organizing the event. I tried my best to kind of delegate all this to the people who are good at this. So Boys, like I said, is the one that's actually TOing, and Aegis is the one producing. So it's kind of interesting where even though, I'm connected to TC and, do a lot of the planning on that, the qualifier, I kind of just get to sit back and watch. Like, I'm not going to do any broadcast stuff for it either. I just kind of want to hang out and see how it's all going to go. I can't actually, I was going to say maybe I'd even co-stream it, but I actually can't because it's going to be on my channel. So I think I'm literally just going to, maybe I'll just sit in a call with someone. Maybe Appies, maybe I'll sit in a call with you while you're playing in the qualifier.
Time.
It can't be, you can't get DQ'd if I'm in the call with you. I'll backseat you. Yeah, so that's TCQ. It's going to be 5 games on the Monday, 6 games on the Tuesday because we wanted to have one extra game to make it a little bit more fair for like that first place. We're also talking right now as well to see. Actually, Boyes doesn't even know this. I'm springing this onto him live on the show. I'm trying to figure out right now if there's a way to also give some sort of winning of some sort to players in that 2nd through 8th, because it does feel bad to have a winner takes all tournament in TFT. It's really, really hard to actually just get first place. But, the nature of us trying to do a larger prize for first place is that it's a little bit thinner to do prizing 2nd through 8th. So we'll see. It actually sucks because the best prizing we could do would be, because we have all the egg codes. We could give eggs, but because of Europe, we literally can't give out eggs as a reasonable prize because they just completely ruined eggs as pricing by giving it out for the official Riot sanctioned events. So that is a pretty darn shame.
That was like a meme for years. I remember. It's crazy.
Yeah, so we can't be like the tournament that is offering eggs as prizing. So that's kind of a bummer.
Unlucky.
I know.
Unlucky.
I wish, what I wish we could give out is the gotcha stuff. You know what I'm talking about? I don't even know what you call those.
Like those.
No, like the things that like to get the Chibi Gwen and to get like the
okay, yeah, wait.
The tokens.
Okay.
That would be
when
sick.
They get the generic eggs, it's kind of sad,
I know.
The generic eggs feel so bad compared to, because like
you get a green light.
I wailed for Gwen, and if I just had like a bunch of codes from Riot to get that instead, that would have felt real good. Would have felt real good.
Yeah, but imagine like
away all my eggs every time.
I'm just imagining though, someone gets 2nd in the tournament, they don't get the stipend, they get all these tokens, and then they hit nothing. Like that would be so sad.
Like
I think there's a pity system though.
There is. I hit pity for it. Yeah,
but it's like 50. Isn't that expensive? It's like a lot of money to roll that many times.
You get a lot from the past too, but like if you just don't, if you know the past stuff, like if you already use that stuff and you roll for something new, I think it's like $200 million to flat. Yeah. Which luckily that was not how much I spent because I had a bunch of stuff from the past and everything.
I see.
Probably spent like $100, but still, that's way too much for Chibi Soul Fighter. It is really cute. It's like the best little legend in the game, but still.
Wait, is that the regular? Are you talking about the regular Gwen one or the
Chibi Soul Fighter Gwen?
See, I don't like that one as much actually. I like the regular Gwen more than Soul Fighter. Yeah.
I'm gonna buy the regular one too.
I kind of want Echo. Can you still buy him?
Probably.
I feel like Echo's the best one.
I would probably say like normal Gwen more if I didn't spend $100 on the cool Gwen, because now I'm contractually obligated to not say that like normal Gwen more.
Yeah. You couldn't be caught dead talking.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna buy it though and then use it instead of that. But I definitely like the Soul Fighter one more, 100%, surely.
All right, well maybe next time around we can smooth talk Riot into giving us some tokens as prizing. That would be really cool. I'm not trying to just dish out money for the whales though. So sorry guys. Maybe next time you'll have to live with eggs. Honestly, I will say it actually is really satisfying to get an egg code and get like 10 eggs and just open them if you don't have a ton of little legends already. And so let's not.
What happens if you have all of them?
Huh?
What does happen?
Like, let's say you open like 10,000 eggs. Like, can you get the ones that you can't get from like, I don't know.
What does happen? I don't know.
Like, can you get the token ones? Like, I don't know.
I feel like they.
if you have everything in the pool.
Yeah, if you have literally every little legend.
I think you get dust.
Dust?
Oh, you mean the what's the upgrade?
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, they upgrade dust.
Oh,
I think
Right,
so. I think they
that's a
get like
scam.
duplicates,
That is
and then
a
like it
scam.
turns into dust. I'm pretty sure
Wait,
you
you
get
get dupes?
I'm pretty sure once you have everything, you start getting dupes, and then you just turns into dust. I might be wrong with the turning into dust part, but I'm pretty sure it dupes.
That's a darn
Oh,
shame.
you know what that reminds me of? You know Genshin Impact is like the constellation when you get dupes. I don't know.
Oh, you can't get dupes, says someone in chat, but then someone else says,
really?
"I thought you get dupes."
Oh,
Well,
I don't know. Either way, we'll see. I don't know what prizing for 2nd through 8th is, or if we're gonna have it at all. I really do want to have something because it does suck where it's like you get 2nd place and the person who has one more point than you gets a $1,000 trip and then you get nothing. We're trying to figure out yeah, you get eggs. We're trying to figure out how to navigate that, but it's tough. The thing is, like, I'm afraid a little bit of people walking away feeling jaded because they were so close to getting a really cool prize and then they get literally nothing. But we'll figure something out.
More eggs. Sorry. So I'm looking on this Reddit thread from 3 years ago. What happens when you open an egg with little legends you already have? The person says, I noticed there are cosmic little legend eggs in the level reward of Galaxy's Pass Plus. However, I've already bought all the cosmic little legends. What happens if I get it and open it? Person responds and says, I tried it on PvE. It seems to give you the legend in the loot section. There you can use it to get another egg for pets. So it puts it in your loot, then you use that to get a different egg.
But if you have all the little legends, what does a different egg do for you?
You just get to keep opening eggs for fun.
It sounds
you just
miserable.
get infinite eggs until a new little legend comes out, and then you use the eggs for that.
Infinite egg hacks.
Yeah, but it's actually infinite egg hack. You just open the same egg over and over.
Well, I mean, only one way to test it.
Anyway, I did want to say I saw that we did have a take, but the person is not in the waiting room. I think I didn't mention that at the top of the show. So if you did have a take, hop into the waiting room, and then we can bring you on from there. But if you're not in the waiting room, we can't drag you into the show. So I saw that we did have a take there. So if you're still here, feel free to hang out there. And if you are not already, or if you joined the show late and you want to join us on the call, all you have to do is use this link in the chat right now. Go to my Discord, put a take in the Submit Takes channel, go into the waiting room. You can mute yourself. Don't deafen. That way we'll be able to hear you. We'll bring it onto the show. And yeah, we can talk. Oh, Boyses, it's you? Boyses, yeah, get into, there you go. I'm going to bring you onto the show then. Because we've kind of talked through all our major talking points now. So, actually, wait. Before, did we already talk about TC4?
Way to do it.
Okay, Boyses, we'll bring you on after this. Let Appies do his little spiel. What did you figure out?
Sorry. The tournament realm has everything unlocked automatically. If we can get RP on the tournament realm, I can open an egg and then see what happens.
So you want to buy RP on tournament realm?
Can I buy RP on the tournament realm? Is that the thing? Am I able to?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think they would take your...
Mort can send me some RP on the tournament. Sorry, anyways.
Why don't you just ask Mort what happens? He probably knows, right?
I don't think he does.
I don't think he does. I don't think he's in charge of that. I'm pretty sure he's in charge of game design.
Yeah, but I feel like he probably... I don't know. I'm sure we're not the first people to ever talk about this, right?
You know what I could do, though? I could just ask Mort to give me every little legend in the game, and then ask him to give me some eggs on top of that. That's probably the way to do it. Yeah, not a big ask.
Yeah, no, I like that. Okay, and also KevGen makes a good point. You could try on PvE. Oh no, but PvE doesn't have everything. You still have to buy everything, right? Oh no, but I think it gives you a ton of... But it gives you a bunch of
not
RP.
Enough, though.
Yeah, probably not.
If you main PvE and just farm the RP from playing... then you can maybe buy everything.
There you go. There it is. All right, now I'm going to bring in Boyses for our one, as of right now, our one take of the night. So if you guys do have anything you want to talk about, go into the Submit Takes channel, give your take there, go into the waiting room, mute yourself, and we'll bring you onto the show to talk. So Boyses is here. Boyses, where are you calling from and what do you want to talk about? Oh, make sure you unmute yourself, by the way. It appears, there we go. Hello, Boyses. How you doing?
My take is just because there's less and less stats in the game, I wonder how you guys feel about study groups.
So I guess yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to give a little bit more, I guess, like groundwork for this take too, because this is something that was kind of talked about on Don't Talk If You Don't Know in their agree section, where the agree was something along the lines of getting rid of stats makes the game less accessible because information is now harder to get. So take that as you will, however you answer, Jack.
Oh, I mean, okay. I guess removing stats. So I was never really a big stats person, and I feel like they're pretty helpful to an extent. Like when you're like stuck between two, right? But I feel like for almost every augment, other than like a few, there's always context for everything. So even if there's an augment that's like, I don't know, like a 4.6 average, like in your spot it could be like a 3 average, right? And so that's my take on stats. And then I guess like in regards to like study groups overall, like my definition of a study group is just like a bunch of people that you talk to and like have different experiences and like ways you play the game and kind of like build your own gameplay around that. Like right now, like I just go into Discord, just watch people play or play my own game and just like, what would you do here? What would I do here? Things like that. And that's how like I kind of learn. But yeah. I guess that's like my take on things.
Yeah, I think that's a good take. I would say mine's pretty similar in that. Well, I first I want to say that I disagree with the idea of stats making the game less accessible. I think it makes the game less accessible at maybe only the very top level, or like literally if you're a challenger player and you don't have you're working, if you're like a parent and you're a challenger player, you don't have your whole like as much time to play as someone else, then maybe stats were the crutch you leaned on, right? That's how you kept up. But for literally every other level of the game, right? Like you don't need to be the guy. You don't need to be looking at stats. Like the guy in Plat does not now need to be looking at stats to know what's meta, right? Like they don't need to say like, oh, okay, well, I need to look at stats to see what this one does. So I can keep up with these people who maybe aren't as good at the game as me, but just are clicking the better statted augments and like getting it. I don't think it makes it like I think. As much as it is, people like to say that it's like a barrier to entrance, or a barrier to accessibility at like higher levels. I think it was also, I think it also like clearing, like getting stats out of the picture makes lower levels of play way more accessible because there's just less there's more skill expression and lower levels of play because like no one there is going to have 1,000 hours a week to play on TFT because you can say that like top level it's like a time investment thing, right? Like how much time do you have to see how much time, and I don't think that's necessarily true either, but you can kind of boil it down to how much time do you have to know what's broken, what's good. But the low levels of play, that's not a thing at all. Like everyone's playing probably about the same time. No one's like super sweating or anything. And it's, you're not going to get a huge advantage just because you know to look on tactics tools compared to the guy who doesn't know that site exists. So I think that's one part of that. The second part of that is that I agree with Jack. I don't think I was never much of a stats guy either. Like I look at them here and there, but I think TFT is has so many moving parts that like I think leaning on stats, like picking something, like I don't know. I feel like anytime I see someone like just look up the stats and then click whatever is the highest statted augment, it just give me shivers because like that's not how like that. TFT is so much about identifying your spot and like playing around like multiplicative scaling with like how does the augment interact with this board and like these items and like you just don't get that by just like clicking something because it has good stats and like often and it's kind of cringe to say it gives me chills, but like I just don't like playing TFT like that, and I think I don't really mind the stats very long. I don't think it's going to be detrimental to the game at all. I think it makes people play the game more. So.
Yeah, I really resonate with what the two of you are both saying, actually. I think especially on the point you're saying, Appies, in regards to lower level play, I think the thing that drew me personally to TFT when I first started was that improvement in TFT, in my opinion, is easier than in any other game in the world because it's a very linear path between the more you learn about the game, the better you get. Right we don't have the mechanics or the barrier that mechanics create in other games where TFT rewards thoughtfulness. It really does. And I think people like to meme on TFT where it's like, oh, it's not a balanced game. It's brain dead. Just click on the broken unit and then you win. But like, even in the most degenerate patches, we find top players who are successful purely by being thoughtful. One of the best examples I think people can always point to is Warweek back in set 4, where Sox is climbing to rank 1, not playing Warwick in a meta where literally everybody is playing Warwick. I think that might have been the second Warweek, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that was the Shiv one, I think, right?
Oh yeah, if it was the Shiv,
the first one was.
There was the Runaan's Deathblade. I think Shiv was the first, and then Runaan's Deathblade was the second,
Runaan's
right?
The second?
I don't remember exactly. But the point remains that every iteration of TFT has always shown that thoughtfulness will come out on top and will reward players to a certain degree. And I think on the lower levels, I can speak from experience as someone who's not naturally very good at TFT and who doesn't have infinite time to spend on TFT. When I, in multiple sets, I definitely have had times where I am like looking at comp lists and I am looking at data and I'm trying to have this guide my game for me, kind of steer the path. I can tell you that there's like actually a mental block for lower level players where when you see a comp list, when you see the highest stat, the items and the item combinations with the best stats, it kind of stops you from really thinking critically. Like it's hard to actually think past that stuff and ignore that and think for yourself, because you can't like unsee that information. And if you're not really good at the game, you kind of stop short from like thinking about why everything is working a certain way, and then your brain will just like default to like, oh no, I already know the answer, just do that's the answer. So I think that getting rid of the augment stats is actually a really nice step, where it's not getting rid of all the information, right? We still have data on items, we still have data on compositions, but it gets rid of at least a part of it where players are no longer just autopiloting and clicking on whatever augment has the best stat. This does bring me a little bit to something that I've learned from Appies in the last like year. There have been a couple games where Appies has watched me play on Discord, and that's not something I'm not super used to, like having someone who like plays the game a lot watch me. But in doing so, there is something that stood out to me, and I'm curious to kind of hear your response to this, Jack. That's something that Appies always talks about, is like not thinking of TFT in terms of compositions and just thinking of TFT as a way of like win condition. Like what actually wins me this next fight? Is it frontline? Is it backline? Is it utility? And then playing around that. And I think for a lot of players, when you take away like the stats, when you take away the comp list, when you take away the data that just like drives the game for you, I think it's a little bit easier to think of TFT as like a problem solving game.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree. Like, I guess taking away okay, wait. I guess to better answer this, could you like frame your question? Like,
yeah. I guess like the question is like, or I guess even, do you agree with the premise that when you have so much data available, sometimes I personally think that it is harder to think for yourself. That's the main point I'm trying to get at. And I think that's like a pitfall of a lot of new players. When they have so much information available, they stop thinking for themselves.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I definitely agree. I also think it makes you worse at the game overall. Like I noticed like a lot of players are dropping because of like no stats, myself included. But even though I don't even use them a lot, low key trolling as well, but yeah, I would say like it definitely does make you worse at the game, and then like you aren't really actively thinking about your decisions because you'll just pick a one that has a higher average placement. And I don't personally believe that's the way that TFT should be played. I feel like it should be a game where you are thinking every single turn about like positioning, composition. Like, do I need a roll here? Do I need a level here? What's my like win con? I think that's like the highest level of TFT, or that's what the ideal TFT should be. Not saying that like I play like that every single game, but like yeah, it's like that. I think that's the ideal that we should be kind of like working towards, and I think taking stats out is like a small move forward to that, I guess.
And circling back to Boys' original take, which was grounded more in like how broken are study groups now. I know that's what Jack spoke more on that. Appies, you don't you really don't have a study group, right? You have a coach through Covert Ops with Jim Ray, and I know you prep with him, but like as far as I know, it's not like you're prepping with a group of people constantly.
Yeah, I would say the way Jim Ray and I approach tournament prep is like it's basically a study group where like we like toss ideas back and forth, and then we'll run stuff down. Like last before Freljord Cup, him, Bryce, and I actually got together. Esports coleslaw even. And so we had like a little, study group thing going, just like kind of tossing ideas around. It definitely helps a lot. I think depending on what kind of player you are too, it like can help a lot. Or like, I think it always helps to have a second, like another outlook, right? Which I think like a lot of time, historically, because I've never had study groups historically, not because I don't want to, because I feel like I don't talk to a lot of people in TFT besides like you and like Kevin and like Riley and so I just like don't want to like I talked to like Goose, for example, right? Like Goose was like the closest thing I had to a study group before probably, but he quit TFT. So
you don't want my tech.
Yeah. So I don't have a lot of people I talk to about stuff. So that's more the reason why I've never done it, but it works out for me. I think because I'm also just a player who plays like a little bit more off the cuff, maybe, right? Like I do a little bit. I look at Freljord Cup, like I was using Ez when like 90% of the people was using Ornn, not because I think Ornn was still really good. I just liked Ez, and so I played like that, and it worked out. And I don't think that always works out, and it's probably shown that it's always worked out. Especially on patches where I'm not very good, it really doesn't work out. But like some players definitely get more from study groups than others. But it is like no matter who you are, you'll get something out of like talking to someone else about the game, right? You'll get something like really useful out of like getting the perspective. And this took the form of like watching streams for me historically, right? Like I'd watch a stream. And I'd say like, okay, well, this person values this and this and this, and then I'd weigh that against what I like, and I'll play around with it, and then go from there. And yeah, I think I think a lot of the time too is that people don't use ladder like a playground, like Kevin and I will often, right? And kind of like test out new stuff. We'll go swinging around the monkey bars and then fall, lose 40 LP, and you're like, oh, I'll get back up and try it again. A lot of people use ladder a little more seriously than that, and that's why like study groups are even better, right? Because people aren't testing stuff out as much like every game. They're not like experimenting as much. Where that's where like a study group really helps you out if like you're like if you're testing something out like every third game, and then 4 people are also doing that, and you're getting way more data than if you just are doing it yourself. Same, right? So yeah, they're helpful. They're very good. Talk to people. Friendship is good.
Jack, remind me I know you're saying your definition of a study group is kind of loose, but you were in the group of like Minhee, Bosso, Philip, them, right? Or were you in Kurum's? I forget. I remember they talked about you on broadcast.
I was in Minhee's, Minhee, Bosso, and whatnot. Yeah. Yeah,
I think boys, is to kind of throw it back to you. I don't know if there was any thoughts in particular you had, but I think that both Appies and Jack make really interesting points here. Jack kind of, I guess, almost like, even though he was a part of this study group that was very successful in Freljord, almost combating like the definition of study group to begin with, where I think a lot of people in TFT really are just kind of like playing with their friends, and like a natural effect of that is that they tend to just play the game similarly. And then I think we also do see study groups though that are a little bit more intense and focused and actually trying to like build tech together and share secrets, whatever. And then sometimes we see like the independents, like Appies, I think, who really are just like the free thinkers of the game. Who
I will say that like shout out to Jim Ray, because talking to Jim Ray has been really, really good for my TFT in general, because we think about the game very differently. And so like, I think a lot of study groups turn into like a echo chamber sometimes almost, but talking to Jim Ray, who plays the game very different than I do, has been really, really good for me. So big shout out to Jim Ray. He's a beast.
Yeah.
Add that in there.
Boys, was there anything you wanted to like follow up with or talk about?
Probably not, because otherwise the discussion would be way too long. But I do agree with the main points here.
Yeah, I know we kind of took the take and branched it off into like 3 different places, but I think it led to like a lot of really interesting discussion. So boys, if there's nothing else you wanted to bring up, is there anything you want to shout out before you go?
No, nothing. Just that TC4 is going to be lit.
And Calculated Loss also going to be lit. That is another LAN event that Boises has his hands in both honeypots right now. He's Mr. Worldwide. He's got the East Coast TC4 and he's got the West Coast Calculated Loss. So, yeah, shout out to Boises for, doing everything he does for TFT and not just online.
In Spain remotely, but that's
Are you going?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Let's go, Balotelli and Luque. Congratulations to the two of them for popping off in Spain, winning that European event.
Yeah.
Wait, are you going to TC4, Boises?
I will try.
Yeah, we're gonna we gotta figure out logistics to see if we're able to how much we're able to do to get Boises out here, because I would love to see Boises again.
That'd be awesome. The summit run back. We had such a good time.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We get there early. I'm down for TC4.
Us three and more. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, I'm down to start TC4 bright and early. Have Mort bring the McDonald's and play some games on Appy's stream. Wait, did I play on your stream? That's not a fever dream, right? I actually did play on. Did I top 4?
Like a lot, I think. I think so.
I think I did
played
not.
A couple games. I thought you did like an entire morning.
I don't think so, because I think it stressed me out a lot. If I remember correctly, I got like super stressed out playing on your stream, and I didn't want to do it anymore. If I remember, it was like, I don't know how people do this. This is not fun. It just scares me to have all these people watching me play TFT. Yeah. Well, anyway, shout out to you, Boises. And like I mentioned, Boises is going to be TOing TCQ. So everyone, the event, if nothing else, is going to be run smoothly. So make sure to join the Tri-State Tactics server. You can find that on my Twitter, on the Tactician's Crown Twitter. Join TCQ. Registration closes some point before the event starts. I actually don't know the date off the top of my head. So join that before we fill up, because we got 96 spots to cap out and we're getting pretty close. So Boises
very close. You guys should hurry up.
That's right. All right, Boises, I'm going to let you go, but thanks for hopping in.
Thank you for having me. Have a good one.
All right, see ya.
Homie.
All right. Well, we don't actually have any more takes in the submit takes topic. So if anyone has
I have a hot take.
Oh, you got a hot take? What do you got?
Yeah, the best way to eat peanut butter toast is with hot sauce on it.
What?
Yep, the best way to eat peanut butter toast is to put hot sauce on top of the peanut butter toast.
That's what is peanut butter toast? Is that just
like you just put peanut butter on toast? Oh, like you have toast and you put peanut butter on it.
and then you put. Wait, what is just peanut butter hot sauce toast then?
Oh yes, yeah.
This is horrible. This is a horrible take, Appies.
But the tech is that it has to be wheat bread.
What?
This is the worst tech, dude. This is some.
I'm gonna make you try this at TC4.
This guy is trying to take different to TFT to IRL as well.
I eat this every morning.
Truly a free thinker. Every morning. Butter. This is your breakfast.
Yes, I have.
What?
Holy cow, dude!
Bread with.
There's no
I have like whole
way.
grain bread. Because the problem if it's white bread, it's too sweet with hot sauce and it clashes. So you have to do like wheat bread or whole grain bread to get the taste right. And then you put protein on it, you put peanut butter on it, and then you put hot sauce on it. Cholula, to be exact.
You're disgusting. You're a foul beast.
Regat on it?
Yeah, where's the regat? You know what I have that's actually really dope? I have this pistachio butter kind of stuff. You guys ever had? That's like a pistachio spread.
Good, though.
It's so good. It's like I was about to say it's like Nutella, how it's hazelnut, but it's not like that at all. It's just another nut. Like it's just like it's literally it's as much as it is peanut butter. It's just another nut.
Is it like peanut butter is like amaretto spread?
No, it's not. It's not like an amaretto spread. It kind of is like it's like a sweet pistachio. So like it is in that way. It's kind of like amaretto, but like I don't know. I'll bring it to TC4. We can bring all of our condiments to CC4 and do a little taste test.
Okay, I'm down.
I'm not trying
dude,
anything
I will bring
Appie's
it.
brings.
Yeah.
You try it. It's so good.
No, what we'll do?
It's
man.
good.
It's actually perfect. So what we'll do, because we're trying right now to set up a merch booth for TC4. We're working on some merch to be able to sell on site. So we'll have our merch booth set up, and then right next to it, Appie's can have his little peanut butter hot sauce booth, and we'll see what the people like more. That's probably the best.
Make it so lowest place finishers have to try it.
Oh,
dude, highest place finishers.
I'm down.
Highest place finishers have the privilege to try it. Okay?
That is what we're missing in TFT. We don't have physical punishments. That's what this scene needs.
Guillotine at TC4. It's time.
Oh, gosh, that's right. We're playing Spy Kids 3 rules. You die in the game, you die in real life.
The original Sword Art Online.
That's right. All right. Anyway, I feel like we've kind of talked through pretty much everything. We're a little earlier than normal, but I think that's fine. While we're kind of wrapping up, we can kind of all take the floor to say a couple words, give some shout outs, all that. So, Jack, is there anything you want to shout out before we go?
I just like to shout out all my friends for all the help, and you guys for having me on the podcast. It was super fun. Love TFT.
Let's go.
Long live TFT. All right, Appies. Anything you want to shout out?
Shout out to whoever tries this peanut butter hot sauce toast in the next couple of days and then realizes it's super good. You're a real one. You're right there. Was it Sweden that we have a lot of viewers in? Switzerland? What was it?
Sweden. All of our
Sweden. Anyone in Sweden, people, just try it, please.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna pull.
Try it. Cholula. Put Cholula on it.
I think I didn't say this on the podcast, right? I think that was a conversation we had off the show. I learned recently that apparently not a large majority, but like a portion of our audience, a non-negligible portion of our audience, 10% is from Sweden. I don't know if these are bots or if we actually have a Swedish audience. I just want to say to anyone who may be living in Sweden right now, shout out to you. But also like reveal yourself, because we want to know what European fandom we actually may have for High Roll Radio, because that's pretty wild to us. Appies, I did want to ask, how confident are you that this peanut butter hot sauce thing is good? Like, if I told you tomorrow morning I would give it to my 1-year-old, would you say I should do that?
I don't know if it's like 1-year-old like taste profile, but I guarantee you that if you tried it tomorrow morning, you would like it.
No, I would give it to her first, probably. We'll see how it goes.
Oh, God.
You can choose either Jovi or Lena. You pick.
Yeah, 1-year-old, like it's too much, but Jovi would be perfect for it.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Perfect. You've heard it here first. I'll report back for the next High Roll Radio and let you know how he likes it. Now, something to keep in mind, we've got Shurima Cup the 5th and 6th, and then the final weekend, the 12th and 13th. I don't know exactly when the next High Roll Radio is going to be. If we don't do it before that final weekend, it's going to be hard for me to do one after, because I'm going to be going on a little vacation. I'm going to be in Italy at the end of August. So I'm going to be seeing the homeland. That's right. I am going to be visiting some family out there. So I don't know exactly when we'll have another High Roll Radio. Maybe we can squeeze one in though between the 2 weekends and just do like something. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. We figured it out.
But other than that, I mean, that's pretty much all the housekeeping stuff. I know we've got TCQ coming up next week. Everyone make sure to check that out. If you're not competing, definitely support all the players who are playing in it. We're going to have a main broadcast for it, but then obviously as streamers are going to be entering it, they'll also be streaming their POV. So definitely support all the players competing in TCQ. Every view really does go a long way in being able to show that we're able to maintain support for an event like this. So same thing for TC4. That's going to be happening September 23rd. Signups are open right now, but it does cap at 56. And at the time of recording, we are currently at 34 entrants. So I expect this to cap in August. So don't wait. Sign up today as soon as you hear this. It's going to be dope. Every TC event is always really sick with a really cool top 8. And you know what? We may just find the next rising star in TFT who makes their top 8 at the next tournament. So we'll find out exactly what that looks like. Thank you everybody who's watching this live, but also thank you to all of our podcast listeners for listening to episode 15 of High Roll Radio. Make sure you follow anywhere you get your podcast. Subscribe on YouTube. You can also follow us on Twitter at Tactician's Crown. And you can find my info, Appy's info, and Jack's info all in the description of the podcast. So thank you again to everyone for listening. We'll catch you next time for High Roll Radio.